How do you keep faith in yourself and in your craft during turbulent times?
Boy, is that a good question. Talk about dirty laundry. I have this terrific career coach, and her name is Erica Wernick. She's really fabulous. You should do an interview with her. You really should. She's just got a book coming out.
Oh, nice.
I'll send you her information.
Okay, please.
But she would probably, punch me in the arm for saying this, but there was a time in my career early on in the 90s where I was so frustrated and so down and didn't believe in myself. And I just had this revelation. I was like, you know what? I've set a goal and I don't have to believe in myself. I just have to do the steps that I committed to doing to get me through the valley of the shadow of death. And that worked for me. I mean, it was a device that worked for me. And I feel like occasionally I still have it. I mean, I think a lot of people, like Erica, talk about how important it is, to believe in yourself and to believe that your success is inevitable. And that's also very powerful. I just find that my brain is a little more complex in terms of the things it does to me. I don't know that I'm always in the driver's seat. And quite honestly, I deal with self-esteem issues. I really do. I mean, I think a lot of people do in this business. Your identity is tied up in your work, even if you don't want it to be, because you put so much of yourself into it. And if it doesn't do well, or even if it does well, I mean, honestly, the irony to me of having something successful and praised and then not having a lot of work, that's even worse than having something criticized. Because at least if they criticize it, you're like, okay, it sucked, I get it. But if they say it's awesome and then the jobs don't follow, you're like, where's the karma? Where's the payoff? We made a deal. So that's harder for me. But I do try to keep faith in myself. And honestly, when I do have crises with the system or success is a nebulous thing, I get basic and I go back and I remind myself, Brad, you're an artist. That was the contract you made. You never said you wanted to be rich. I don't care about being rich. I would like to be self-sufficient. I'd like to be secure, And if I was rich, it'd be okay, but I'd be donating and helping. And I mean, I just don't need a super yacht and an island. But, I remind myself that the contract that I made was that I wanted to be an artist. Simple as that. And you know what? I am. I mean, I look at the work I've done, I work at the work I'm doing, and even if these people don't like it, or those people don't like it, or even if everybody likes it and I don't get a job or an award, it's like, you know what? You got to do the work. Somebody gave you the toys, somebody gave you the sandbox, and they let you build your sandcastle. And that's enough.
Do you think a lot of success is luck, or success can be orchestrated?
I want to believe it can be orchestrated, and I know, people who feel very strongly about that. And I feel it can be influenced, I don't know if I believe it can be orchestrated in a guaranteed way because for 100 people doing 100 things more or less the same, they're going to have different outcomes. Because they'll know different people, they'll be at different moments in time, it'll be a different project, they may have a different mode to their personality or their energy or, I don't know. I mean, it could be simple things, I give you an example. I mean, I have people who message me out of the blue. And if people message me and they have a specific question and they say, Brad, what light did you use in that particular scene? Or they say, would you look at my resume? I respond to them, People who hit me up and they say, how are you doing? I just don't even answer because I don't need any small talk. And how do I answer that? It's like, so the point being is that the way you interact with the world, be it me or be it those persons emailing me, you're going to get a different response. depending on what you put out there. And I've forgotten your question, but I hope I answered it.
Oh, you did. You did. I think you said it because I was saying, is it success? Do you think a lot of it's luck, or it can be orchestrated?
Yeah.
And so it sounds like it might be sort of a combination.
It's got to be. It really has to be because it's what is it they say? Success is preparation meeting opportunity, right? You have to be prepared. If you go into that meeting, if you luck out and you get that meeting, but you don't know squat, you're not going to impress them. But if you are a genius and you're an introvert and won't go out and do the meetings, then you're still stuck. And just for anybody who's an introvert, I am a terrible introvert. I am so shy. But I want this more than I want to be shy. So I just, I'm not an actor, but in that way I am an actor. I will go do the act. And I'm not always good. If I'm in a crowd and I don't know anybody and I don't have a wingman, that's kryptonite. I shut down and I sit in a corner. To this day, I'm ashamed of it, but I'm powerless. But, I know to have a wingman. I know to have somebody else to help me, or at least find, I know that person. They can introduce me, that's, but, when I was a little kid, I would my mom would say, you want a Slurpee, and she would, I'd be sitting in the car and she said, well, you have to go in and get it. I would just sit there and cry because I didn't want to go in by myself. I was so shy. But so it's hard, but, you just, if you want something enough, then you do the things you need to do. One of my favorite sayings right now, and because I'm looking to level up. I mean, look, I could be at the top and I'd still be looking to level up. But there's this great saying, and it's, if you want something you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done before. And sometimes that might be obvious, but sometimes it's surprising. Like just the other day, I had this realization because I'm a workaholic and I drive myself like crazy. I was reading Erica's book, as a matter of fact, meant for this. Go out and buy it. It's a really good book. But I had a thought that was really kind of a non sequitur. It wasn't really relevant to what I was reading, but I thought, Brad, you need quiet time. You need to stop and just be quiet, whether you meditate or just watch the world go by, because you don't do that. And that's surprising because my logical brain says, well, that's not going to get you anywhere. But then I start thinking, because I know that you just can't go 24 hours, even though I have, because you wear down, you lose your acuity. So maybe that is the thing. Maybe I need more breaks and more quiet time, because maybe that will make the time I do spend working just that more focused and that more effective. It's better to spend 5 really effective minutes than an hour kind of unfocused and tired and distracted. So that was the thing that I thought, well, that's interesting, because that's a thing I haven't done before, and it's not what I would have guessed. But that's just kind of the thing is that and the other thing about success is when people ask advice about success or about being a cinematographer or being on set or meeting people or networking, everybody wants the formula. They want the roadmap. They want the ABC equals D. And I get that, because as humans, I think we're wired that way. I want that, but guess what? I've never found it. It's just always different. It's a moving target. And you learn as you go, and you take your best guess and you try it. And if it doesn't work, then you're like, okay, it's not working. I'm not going to quit, but let me try something different. Let me revise it. Can I go this way? Can I go that way? Can I show up with flowers and chocolate? Can I, get my buddy to do an introduction? Whatever, it's not about stopping. It's about, okay, this isn't working. Let's think of something else. Let's reinvent. And even something that does work for a while, just like the market changes, just like the technology changes, it's like, you know what? It used to work. It's not working now. Try something different.
So being internal, an introvert, maybe needing quiet time. Did that work for you growing up in Houston? And how did you turn that, like if you needed to turn on that, and I'm just stereotyping here, the Southern charm and being sort of, larger than life, which you do have that side to you, I can see it, but how would you manifest that if you had to walk into a room and sort of own it?
If I know people, it's easy, If I know some people, it's easy. But part of it is having generosity towards the other person. I think that one of the things that I tell young people is if you approach a relationship, if you want a meeting or you want to connect with somebody, do not approach it from what can they do for me. I am going to ask them for a job. I am going to ask them to give me something. The best way to approach it is to be like, what can I give them? What do I have to offer? And you don't have to be an experienced filmmaker. We are blessed with social media where we can see that this person likes going out on a boat. This person likes dogs, and that person likes to paint. And this person maybe went to your school, and this person maybe is friends with your uncle. I don't know. But we have the ability to do due diligence on people in a way that has just never been possible before. I do that, and I recommend that people do that, and you go and you do your homework, and then they're not a stranger, because you find that thing. Oh, they like comic books, or oh, they like this. Their favorite movie is my favorite movie, or they like the same band I like. That takes a lot of the edge off of, because the part of the fear is like, I don't know what to say. But if you guys both like Doberman pinschers, now you have something to talk about. And it's lovely for the other person because you know what? All day long, they're getting calls. Oh, give me a job. I want to be a PA. Will you make my movie? And they're like, oh, you want to talk about my dog? Oh, here's a picture of my dog. They're so happy, And that's the thing, because you have to remember, this is a business of relationships. It's not a business of like parasites and prey. It's your friends. You want to work with your friends. You're going to call your friends. You're going to work with your friends. Everybody likes hanging out with their friends, and this is a business where you have the ability to hire the people you like, and people who are, it's just like in your life. Think about, that one friend who always asks you for something. They always want you to come over to their house and do them a favor and buy lunch, and they never reciprocate. How excited are you to spend time with that person, But think about the other person who calls you up and says, oh, there's this new movie and you would love it. That's the person you're happy to hear from. So, when I meet with people, I try to be able to offer that. And also when I follow up and in social media, I'm like, oh, hey, here's an article. I know you like butterflies. Here's a butterfly article. And it's not just, a cynical thing, because I think it's cool that they like butterflies. I think it's neat. So that's cool. So when I'm in a position of meeting people, one of the things that mindset precipitates is that it makes you listen, because you don't know what people want if you don't listen to them. And a lot of people will tell you that in meetings, you don't want to do a lot of talking. You want to listen, and then talk strategically and to the point. And so I think if you listen, people are going to tell you their story, and they're going to tell you what they need. And I've had that many times where they're like, oh, and I was on this shoot and there was this thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, the next time you have that happen, let me know, because I know a guy, or, oh, well, let me tell you what I did once in a similar situation. And I think that's, again, you're being friends. And I literally years ago stopped leading with my website. Like the most aggressive thing I'll do now is put it in my signature. Because if people are interested, they're going to look for it, I reach out and talk to them about their Doberman pinscher or their horse or their butterflies. I mean, that's how I build it. Or I compliment them. I'm like, oh, that commercial you did was really beautiful. Or, oh, hey, I'm also friends with so-and-so. And, I've done lunches with people, and we spend, And this is somebody that, yeah, I'd love to work with them. And we spend the whole lunch talking about nothing having even remotely to do with film. And as we're getting up to leave, they say, send me your work. I might have something coming up, But how much more powerful is it for them to ask than for me to be like, oh, look at my stuff, because they get that all day long. Again, you just don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that. Maybe somebody does, but I don't want to be that person. So that's how I handled it. I feel it, and it takes the pressure off. I have nothing to prove. I'm not selling anything. I'm not a salesman. I would be a horrible salesman. But I'm pretty good at being nice to people. I'm pretty good. I mean, something I care a lot about is other people. How can I help them? And again, maybe it's not even me. Maybe it's like, oh, you should meet this person. I'm really good about that. Just being a matchmaker of like, oh, these two people need to meet. And sometimes it's obvious why they should meet. And sometimes it's just like, y'all have similar personalities, and I don't know what's going to come of it, but you should know each other. So that's my answer to your question as a shy person. How do you go in there? I go in there with a sense of generosity and relating as a human as opposed to a salesperson.